Well, welcome everybody back to Talk of the Trades. It's been a minute, Aaron. I don't even remember what episode we're on, but I think we haven't recorded together in at least 6 weeks.
Yeah, it's been something like that. Episode 00 something.
00 something. So we're in the teens, I feel, so we're still making good traction. Actually, I think this is episode 13, if I'm not mistaken. But we'll update it in the show notes either way. So thanks for everybody tuning in and watching today. So got an agenda here we'll run through and just some show topics today, talk through what's new here at Leadhub. So as you guys probably noticed, new space. So this is the bullpen here at Leadhub HQ. Just moved in here, talk about some SEO stuff, some traditional production. We just had a really awesome production we did for Right Home Services. We got another one coming up in Detroit and then in Boston. So some good things going on. Boston. Did you see how I said that?
I did.
It just came out, man.
I was concerned, but also excited. It was very nice.
Doesn't your sister live there?
She's in Baltimore.
Okay.
My cousin, she lives in Dover, so I'm going up to Atlantic City next week for a family trip, and then we're doing Christmas in Dover at my cousin's house, and my whole family, including my in-laws, are going. It's going to be very cool. They have a picture window looking out to the backyard, and I put in our dream manager, one of my dreams was for us to have Christmas there with it snowing, and it is going to happen this year.
Nice.
It's going to be cool.
Heck yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then we'll talk about some AI because everybody loves AI, and a new secret thing that people may have never heard about, but it's the hottest thing people are talking about, HI.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So it's all the buzz.
Stay tuned till the end when we talk about HI. It's a big deal. So let's talk about it. So the Leadhub office move.
Yeah.
Man, it was a haul, but we made it.
Yeah. It was a doozy, I think, is the technical term for it, right?
Certainly a doozy. And I think we're still, so most of you guys can't see, but we do still have plastic on some of our doors. So it's like, when you go to your grandma's house and she hasn't removed the plastic from the couch, that's the situation we're in right now. But hopefully they'll have that resolved soon.
Yeah, they will. And then we've got the environment design. They're working on that. Should have all that implemented in the next 60 days. And yeah, overall, I mean, it's my third time moving the business, maybe fourth.
I think fourth, right? Yeah, give us the history, because I've heard some interesting things about previous offices, and I just know one story about the cops showing up for a burglary because Rich hit the safe alarm.
Yeah, so our very first office was when we were about maybe up to 5 people. We worked out of the Champion AC office. So Ben, back in 2007 when he founded Champion, they had 2 or 3 suites in downtown Helotes, the big city of Helotes. And we basically grew into one of those early on. The back room had no windows, and that's where we had a buy team member and a developer. And we had a client that came in, and every time was like, "Where's the trolls at? I want to talk to the trolls. Where are they in their cave?" So from then on, it was, we've got to have windows. Wherever we're at, we got to have windows. So yeah. Then we ended up moving to another space that, it had a panic button underneath, and underneath a desk, and one of our developers kind of did the whole side eye when the cops came in. Is everything okay? Blink twice if you're okay.
That is funny.
So yeah.
And if you guys known Rich and cops, I could just imagine what that scene looks like. So it was an old bank or what? That's why.
No, it wasn't even an old bank. It was the Move for Free office, but they shared it with an insurance company. I don't know why they had a panic thing.
Maybe they had they were storing money in there.
Yeah.
Something at one point.
It was wild. I don't know. But I mean, talking about banks, so we've moved into now this building here at the Wells Fargo property. It's not really the Wells Fargo property. They've just been the big tenant. And where we moved in is the old bank office, and we're attached to, which has been fun, and we'll have a ton of great stories in the future.
Oh, yeah.
The bank tellers next here, and so we share our electrical with the bank tellers and our water. So
all of our utilities, basically.
Yeah. So shutting off the water while somebody was in the bathroom was great.
I know you heard about that one.
Yeah, so. I was in the attic with the guy.
And we get at least 1 to 2 people a day coming in here and say, "Hey, are you the bank?" So we had to get a specific sign just for that. So we'll see. Maybe that should be a new segment. How many people came in asking for the bank this week?
Stream our entrances, but I mean, overall, like some huge wins on, and the last place we were at was really awesome as well. And it was, but it was retail, so we were paying a little bit more of a higher premium, and with the glass windows, we were showcasing to the highway all the computers and technology we had. But this step up from 2 offices ago to last office was amazing, and then the step up from the last office to here, it's just wild when you move to an actual office space where, you know, we were paying almost $750 for cleaning services at the last office because it was retail, and now it's included with the agreement. So just moving in here, it feels really cool. Got to design it out again. And I really like the segmented space.
For sure, it's coming together. We're sitting in our bullpen section, so SEO, content sits there. All of our buy team members are behind us, our media buyers and whatnot. We have account services over here. Up top up there, if you guys can kind of see it a little bit, is where Aaron and Ryan and Ben, sales teams up there. We got offices along the wall here. So definitely loving the space. We're, you know, kind of getting our groove finally. And so we're sitting in like the little seating area for our clients, which is nice. And so
what's really funny is my mother-in-law, she's worked in the travel industry her whole career.
Oh yeah, shout out Dottie. Thank
Dottie.
you for booking all of our travel, Dottie.
She's been awesome. She's with AJ Travel, and they are, she's probably going to retire here as soon as she'll allow herself to. So, but her desk used to be right where the camera is. Because she used to office out of this building.
Really?
Yeah,
Holy
and
smokes,
because she knew she could hustle and make more commissions, she wanted to be the first person closest to the door, and everybody else wanted to hide. And so, talk about like wanting to win. She's high energy, high spirit. She wanted to sit right at the front of the door and said, "Send everybody my way."
Wow, that's like the kid that sits at the front of the class so they can like be learning the most. So that's cool.
That was her daughter. Yeah.
Hey.
Allie likes to sit at the front of class.
The apple doesn't fall far from the tree, as they say. So
It doesn't.
very cool. Well, so more to come on our space once we get graphics and stuff in place. Maybe we'll throw some stuff on social for everyone to check out. So cool. All right, let's talk about some SEO stuff. So a lot of chatter just happening on local, especially in the GBP space. Also, latest Google Core update as well, rolled out not too long ago. I don't even know what the status is right now on that thing. But let's talk about SEO and just GBP in general. I think it's, you know, from my perspective and what I've seen, the barrier to entry and getting a GBP verified is gone to another level in terms of what, you know, they're wanting. So now I think it's up to like 2 or 3 official government documents. You got to go shoot a video. There's so much more, which inevitably has led to more suspensions. And so on that part, Aaron, do you think more suspensions because the bar is higher, or more suspensions because maybe like AI is actually reviewing this stuff now and it's not like a human? What are your thoughts there?
I think it's a lot of factors, and thinking about, yes, the access to the platforms. You can create profiles a little bit easier than you could in the past. I think also some of the support getting laid off, and the less human support, and Google moving more to automated support is another thing. I think just the getting changes done at the wrong time is the biggest issue. And, you know, even as you have more in-house marketers, you also have stuff like Yext. Any changes to a Google business profile before you're actually ready to push it out can really damage your account and just your email address associated to the accounts. You don't want the accounts flagged in your profile. And so some of the things we've been seeing, and I mean, Darren Shaw at White Spark, I always shout him out. Like, he is, him and Joy Hawkins, he always refers to her, so I'll funnel it down, but talks a lot about how to do it right with Google Business. And the main thing that we sometimes struggle with when our client has access to their Google is we don't want to make too many changes. And we've seen that happen a lot, where if you make multiple changes within the same 72 hours, Google sees it as a little bit shady. And so that's been happening.
Yeah, it's interesting that that sort of activity is a factor, especially from people associated with the profile. But I mean, we've seen it firsthand. You know, you get too many people, too many hands in the cookie jar, and then it seems like it has an effect, and then boom, page is suspended. We just had a client, you know, who's been in business for many, many years. His other profiles got over 4,000 reviews. We're trying to open up a new one for his new showroom. Get to the very last step to upload the video, and then boom, we get suspended. So that was a bummer, and we had to basically start over from scratch because the support has been underwhelming, to say the least. So what do you think, Aaron, are some things like that people need to like look out before they even like initiate the process through like Google per se and their like formal process? Because I know there's some important things to look at, like listings and making sure that all those addresses, you know, match at least on the top 5 or 4 before you move forward. What have we kind of learned, like?
And we've talked about this for probably the last couple of years with our SEO team. It's just when you're in a business, especially in this climate, and you just open another location, it's what are you thinking first? Google, running straight to it, get your Google business profile set up. In reality, what we really need is the documentation and signage on the building first.
Yep.
And when you're doing that, what we can do is build out the citations, like let's get your BBB aligned, let's get your Yelp, your Apple Maps, Bing, anything that's not Google. We want to cascade your new location to those properties first and then do Google last. And really, we can say it, our clients can know it, we can know it. It's just that knee jerk of, God, I really want to get this thing going.
Yeah.
You know, speed can sometimes kill efficiency. And
For sure.
If we can get the citations up and running externally and then do Google last, that is the key.
Okay, yeah. So pro tip to all you contractors out there, you know, when you're going to open up a second location, really make sure you understand, number one, what all the documentation that you're gonna need in order to get your profile verified. Also know that you'll likely need to submit some sort of video. You're gonna need some sort of signage on the building as well when you do that. So those are all key. The other thing too, while, you know, as Aaron mentioned, while you're waiting on some of that, because there's some lead time to get things printed, meanwhile, I'll be setting up some of those other big core listings that you mentioned with that address. Because, you know, the more I started thinking about it, it's like, man, well, if AI is the one evaluating this, I'm sure like the AI's got to learn from somewhere. So it's probably going to the internet, looking for, you know, other sources attributed to this address, and then trying to make that connection. And maybe if it's not seeing that, then potentially that's what's leading to it to flag it or suspend it.
Yep.
So not sure if, you know, how true that is, but that's just what was going through my mind as we've been like struggling with some of this stuff, because you know, it's especially frustrating to our clients when, you know, they're excited about getting, you know, a new location up, because, you know, the impact that it could have on local SEO is can be, you know, big time. So what do you think about, you know, what are the best practices once you get it all set up, and then from, you know, optimizing that profile from a local SEO perspective, what do you think are like maybe top 3 things to do right after it's been verified?
Yeah, right after it's been verified, number one, you can do this even as you're creating it. Just make sure your categories are correct. Primary category has to be 100% accurate, and your top revenue driver. So if you're an HVAC contractor, make sure that you're leading with, if you're doing 80% revenue, obviously, make sure the HVAC contractor is the primary category, and then have electrical be your secondary.
Yep.
But really, 1B, if that's 1A, 1B is making sure that your CRM is accurately requesting reviews and sending them back to your Google business listing.
Yep.
You know, troubleshooting an account just this week where when they onboard a client, their CRM is using one number to text, and let's just say it's 5533. And so they're texting throughout, hey, your tech is dispatched from 5533, and they're going back and forth, okay, your job's completed, 5533. All of a sudden they get a review invite request from 6521, a completely different phone number.
Yeah.
And the likelihood, like they've already accepted the back and forth in the other number,
Yep.
but then using a different number to ask for the review, little steps like that. Like one, it's great to do it, so happy that the client's doing it, but how can we make sure that we're getting the most reviews and activity on those reviews?
Yeah.
A really good example, a barbershop that this is how I got my hair cut for free this last week.
Nice.
But they opened a new location and it wasn't showing up.
Okay.
And everything was set up properly, wasn't showing up. And I said, well, of course, you have one review and it's yourself. So overnight, he's very well connected within a specific barber community. He got like 20 reviews and it's showing up regularly now. But since it was a second location, he would search it while he's cutting people's hair, specifically mine. He'd be searching for his new location and only the one he was in was showing up. So.
Wow.
All that said, reviews, and it's not just total reviews. This is where I think it is a good thing for a lot of other contractors, especially new or younger contractors.
Yeah.
Like the people that are private equity owned, have already 4,000 Google reviews. They are humming, and they're going to get the massive majority of the leads. However, Google does prioritize frequency and recency of reviews, so do not give up on it. If you're getting reviews at a regular cadence, then it's going to help your GBP visibility.
Nice. Yeah, one important thing I think you mentioned in there that just sounds like such a little thing, but making sure that those numbers match and you're not opening up a whole second thread. It's those like little fine detail things, because it's already hard enough to get reviews and people to fill them out, right? And so now you got to try to build trust on a whole nother number that they might be getting something from. So just the minor things like that can make a big difference in that kind of overall customer journey, right? Because it's really never over, but because you always want to nurture that person, but at least after you complete the job, how do you like streamline that? So
yeah, and then and it depends on what tool you're using. Like if you're using Service Titan, their RepMan is different than a Podium, which is different than a House Call Pro. Most of them will allow you to enable a sequence to follow up on unopened requests, and so I highly recommend turning that on. That's something that I'll typically see in Podium turned off. And I know you don't want to harass your customer, but if they haven't opened, or at least there's no red receipt on it, fire it off again 2 days later. And I mean, I'd even fire it off again 3 days after that, at least 3 touches to try to get the review.
Yeah, I think we've historically said like 3 touches in 7 days is pretty good. And then after that, it's kind of a moot point. The other thing, if you're very ambitious in getting reviews, I know some clients have had success. So one thing I always hear in the trades is like your call center should never have idle hands. And so having your CSR folks following up with people, I forget what type of calls they call them.
The happy call is one.
Something like that. And being able to like create that connection, going like one step further and trying to also get that review. And then, potentially looking at spiffing your CSRs, $5 a review or whatever. I've asked clients before, like, hey, would you, pay for, $5 for a review if you could get one? And most of the time the answer is yes, because they become so valuable. And so we're not saying pay customers, all right? That's against Google's guideline. But spiffing your internal team to, just hustle a little bit extra and help you kind of build that. So cool. And on the topic of reviews, so kind of big news that GLS reviews, so Google Local Service reviews, are now going to be migrated over to GBP as well. So historically, which is the weirdest thing, is like GLS reviews only showed up on GLS, but GBP reviews showed up on GBP and GLS, right? So now, full marriage of both platforms. So interesting. Do you have any take on whether like it's starting now that they're going to get over, or anything historically will be migrated as well?
Yeah, it's going to become one, so they're moving them over, but it's going to be few and far between. I think they're going to, it depends on industry and geo. They typically roll things out by location, but I mean, it's been something that's been a concern and frustration of, hey, why are these 2 different platforms anyway? They have to be connected for a reason. So whether it was because maybe initially they thought that GLS would become a CRM where people were actively in there, which we recommend you do, but then doing email out and actually GLS getting the review themselves. I mean, that whole thing was a little bit of a cluster. So I like that they're consolidating it. It gives us less to worry about. But also, man, if you've got your GBP humming, GLS is a very good way to get those low-cost leads.
Yeah, for sure. So from your experience on GLS, Aaron, so we know GLS is a bit of a black box in terms of like how do you get the thing to start spending. I mean, we've tried so many different things, and Google has told us limited information, at least from our reps. But one thing that we have, I guess, inferred or assumed is that activity on the profile is super important in sending out review requests. So do you know if that capability is still going to be there? Is like sending out review requests from GLS, or it's going to?
No, I don't think
Okay.
I think they're going to pivot away from that and just have it be
Gotcha.
normal. I mean, that's at least from what I can tell. I think the reality is speed to the lead. Some of the normal things, the saying of when they tell you who they are, believe them, kind of
Oh
thing,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So Yelp did this for a long time, and now GLS has it as well. But Yelp typically for their lead messages has on this profile, the contractor responds typically in less than 5 minutes or less than 15. So that response rate clearly is a ranking indicator from my perspective, especially when you do a search. You see who's on the top. Okay, well, all these guys respond quickly, and then it starts to fiddle off. Well, GLS has that as well. So if you've enabled messaging, it will tell you the response time for those contractors.
Wow.
And so if that is something that Google is telling you, you better believe we should be optimizing for message leads and making sure that there's an autoresponder on the back end to bring that time down.
For sure. Yeah. That is for sure one of those other key elements to make sure that there's constant activity on the profile, in that it's, again, like it's timely activity, right? Even with disputing, potential leads. Because didn't they roll that back where they were going to auto classify leads as opposed to like let you dispute them? And I think, at least from what I read last, they haven't like fully gone into that.
I haven't seen where I could dispute.
Okay.
Whenever you rate it afterwards, you can give it a low rating, and then they'll take that into consideration.
Gotcha.
But
Okay.
not outwardly like disputing. At least in any of the clients that I've been watching, I watch about 5 accounts.
Okay.
Just so I can stay in the know on GLS.
Yeah.
There may be some other accounts in different industries where you can still do it.
Gotcha.
But I've been definitely repeating this too much, but just it's roll call. It's got to be roll call.
Yeah.
Any client that kind of pushes back on GLS, I would typically want to question the lead flow process and how quickly are we getting back.
Yeah.
Not saying it works absolutely, but I haven't seen a position where it doesn't work. And the only times we've gotten a negative return is when clients haven't had tracking accurately in the CRM. So,
Yeah.
and the sad truth is, this is what Google's really going to push, and we've been afraid of this as SEOs for the past 3 to 5 years. But GBP organic is going to go away, and it's going to be led with the map pack. And if they're consolidating reviews, they're going to be consolidating GLS into being ads driven.
Interesting. Yeah. There's something I was thinking of when you had mentioned that, but I totally forgot it.
That's okay.
So
I want to mention another tactic though with GLS, because we'll have accounts sometimes that typically bigger accounts that have the ecosystem and get reviews, they get visibility, right?
Yeah.
But to start off a new account, and this is where we sometimes get friction when clients haven't seen it to believe it first.
Yeah.
Just turn everything on. Like direct business search, I know a lot of our clients, I don't want to show up for direct business search and pay for somebody that's already a repeat customer.
Which direct business search equals branded search.
Branded
basically,
search,
right?
absolutely.
Got you.
So you can turn that on or off, but if you have no action on your profile, I would turn that on, turn messages on, turn bookings on until you get traction, then pull some of those things away.
Yeah.
But Google does say that they're not going to charge you for repeat customers, so I haven't seen exactly how to question that.
Interesting.
But for the most part, turn everything on and optimize.
I remember what I was going to say. So one thing that I saw that rolled out not too long ago, and I think I shared it in our group chat, was now in some markets, at least on mobile specific, I believe, they are kind of doing the Angie's thing where it's like, hey, we'll send your lead to like 4 different contractors. And so I haven't tested it out to see like how that happens. And, from a consumer perspective, I'm really interested to understand what happens on like the back end. Is everybody getting charged $100 per lead, at that point? Or is it 100 divided by 4? Like, very interested to kind of, and then I wonder if even like Google is telling contractors like, hey, we send it out to you plus 3 other people, you know? So something I haven't really jumped into, but I saw it rolled out in LA first, and then now it was definitely in Spokane, because when I talked to Chris at Raptor Rooter not too long ago, showed him that, and I'm pretty sure it's here in San Antonio now. So
yeah, I haven't seen on the accounts I'm watching, I haven't seen that populate, because typically the accounts I'm watching, either they're not getting visibility or they are, and we don't have messages turned on because they feel happy with the lead flow coming in through calls.
yeah,
But my assumption is it's going to be primarily through the messages, and but that just points even more of a light, especially if you're a smaller contractor.
yeah.
How are you responding to messages? How quickly do we have an automation set up through your CRM? And
Yeah.
those are the things that I would prioritize early on.
Yeah, and kind of talking about that direct, what was it, direct company search or
Direct business search, yeah.
direct business search. So this will kind of segue into kind of some of the traditional media and top of funnel stuff. And one, you know, the conversation I have with clients often is like, you know, at the end of the day, you have to defend like your brand name, and there's going to be a cost to reacquire customers. And, you know, if they're searching from us from a branded perspective, you know, why not invest to try to, you know, double down and make sure that we get that person. And so, you know, that's where this kind of traditional media opportunity comes in, and building like top of mind awareness around your brand. And so here at Leadhub, you know, part of our process is when we have a client who is ready to kind of branch out into kind of more upper funnel tactics, which we would consider like TV, radio, outdoor, OTT would be one, direct mail is another one. So all those things are things that aren't going to be so centered around direct lead generation. And the goal is, you know, you create this top of mind awareness. So when somebody is ready to make an action, whether it's a demand service or they're thinking about, you know, upgrading their water heater to, you know, what is it, the on-demand water? I don't know why I can't think of it right now, tankless, right? So, because one question I always like to ask people, and sometimes it gets difficult in the trades because we're all in there and we're watching companies, but usually what works is like water filtration. So I'm like, if you needed to get like a water filtration whole home system, like for your house, like today, give me like the 3 contractors you would call. And a lot of times they have no idea who it would be. And because there's no like top of mind awareness. And me coming from a more like traditional background, what I have found is that there is a major lack of brands who have top of mind awareness in, you know, markets, and even the ones we work with. And so our, you know, goal has been trying to educate our clients and understand like, hey, top of mind awareness is like very important because it's going to help us cut down on having to do like the competition within these non-branded search terms, AC services near me, that sort of stuff. So to bring it all back, you know, we recently launched an awesome campaign for Right Home Services. So they've been around for quite some time. And, you know, we came up with a concept to play off of Right and the Right stuff specifically. So for all my blockheads out there, that's what they call the new
Do
kids.
they really?
Yeah,
Okay.
the blockheads. So we actually licensed the song "You Got It," the Right Stuff, by New Kids on the Block. So if you haven't heard that song, check it out. It's one of my favorites as a kid for sure. I don't know if I consider myself like a blockhead because I didn't know, but I know there's like a lot of people out there that were blockheads.
You
for
might
sure.
have to consider yourself now.
Okay, done. Yeah, sign me up for the blockheads. So we were able to work with that client, and we've done like a full 360 campaign. So we did radio, TV, we're doing outdoor, we have display ads going. We've even worked it into some of our branded search copy. We got stuff on social going. So all over the board, and you know, our goal is to try to obtain a certain like reach and frequency within the market to start, you know, creating top of mind awareness. And we track all of our calls. We got an awesome vanity number as well. And we really wanted to focus on something that you could recall easy that worked in with our campaign. So we ended up landing on 210-444-0000. Right? Maybe that was too many O's, but it also was able to sync up with the song nicely because there's a lyric in there that matches. And honestly, I was surprised because I started looking in our call tracking software, and there's some calls that are coming in, and people are saying, "Hey, I heard you on the radio, I heard you on the TV." Now it's not like gangbusters because want to set expectations. Like once you launch these types of campaigns, you know, there is time it takes to build top of mind awareness and for people to remember you, you know, because you're not only competing against for share of voice in the sea of just advertisers in general, personal injury. I bet we all have somebody in our market who just dominates the airwaves from a personal injury perspective, but also just your own category. You know, it's like we're on TV, but then there's also the Gettles of the world on TV, and then other real local successful shops. So, you know, the traditional media game is very much a long game as well.
Yeah.
Or building top of mind awareness, I should say.
I think in most markets, and at least before the summer, I was feeling a lot more firm and strong about this, but what we've seen in a lot of the markets is the consolidators have exited more of the traditional and have gone more to bottom of the funnel tactics, and that creates an open space. So you start to see more of the advertisers that are between the $3 to $6 million range doing more TV or more traditional than maybe they have in the past. And typically that shuts off in the shoulder seasons. So if you're storing those chestnuts away to stay busy in the shoulder seasons, then keep firing off.
Yep.
But we do see that, and that's what I want to mention as well. Our team did, since we are local, did a live daytime spot, basically. We did it at my house, but it fired off some things basically on, since you've been in the company, some of the tactics that we use, or at least coach on, for like a production book, and like what are some things with those? Because I had some pretty firm takeaways, but interested to see what you typically tell the team for something like that.
Yeah, for sure. So quick point on that too is, so, you know, as part of your traditional media buys, you always want to be asking for added value, because this morning show segment was a piece of added value. Now, obviously we're paying for like media already, and this is just, you know, additional opportunities they gave us. So yeah, when we're prepping for something like that, it's super important to, you know, really understand what's going to take place, who's the talent that needs to be involved, what are the talking points, that sort of stuff. Now, when you're working with stations, in my experience, it's kind of a run and gun type of situation. So like when we do a formal production, we're having pre-production meetings to ensure that everybody's on the same page and we all know what's going to happen, that we have talent release forms, all these other things. But when you're working with stations, a little bit different, because literally it's like a talent, and then you have one cameraman kind of show up, and they're just churning and burning and trying to get to these things. So it's really important to try to get, you know, number one, first, them to slow down. Number two, set your expectations on behalf of the client as like, this is how, you know, we expect this, you know, to go overall, because there's so many variables when you're working with your client. You don't want them to feel like, you know, it's a waste of their time or it's like unprofessional, because a lot of the times for those things, it's a lot of like sit and wait. They'll do one shot and they're like, okay, we're gonna set up, do another shot. And so it's super important to also have at least a skeleton framework of understanding, okay, this is when we're gonna shoot at this time, this is when we're gonna shoot at that time. Making sure you have specific call times for talent and people that, and what I mean by talent is the folks that are going to be on camera from your business. So we understand that, you know, you don't want to have your top performing, you know, salesperson out of the field, you know, for too long, but they're also a very valuable asset to the company because they're so good on camera, right? Or they just have a natural ability in that sense. And so understanding your call times is super important. So I guess to summarize, really make sure off the bat you're setting expectations with the station so they know the level of professionalism you're looking to achieve. Making sure you have some sort of schedule as to when the key people need to be there in terms of who's going to be on camera, the actual station, your internal teams, when they're going to show up. The other big thing is having potentially some sort of shot list, meaning like we're going to shoot here, we're going to shoot here, we're going to shoot here. because that's really important to have an overall understanding of what kind of world are you trying to capture and what are you featuring kind of within this segment. And then the last couple things, that are super important, which seem kind of trivial, is like, number one, make sure everybody knows where they're going, where's the right address. I can't tell you how many times the station has called me and said, hey, we're lost right now, like, and so that is never fun. The other thing, making sure that you have all the right contacts for the people that are going to be there day of the shoot. Sometimes you're coordinating, through an account executive at the station who's talking to the producer, who's talking to his cameraman. And so trying to get the contacts of the people who are actually going to be there, make sure that's documented, because if something, somebody's late or something goes wrong, you want to make sure you have like the contacts. So I would say those are probably the main things when working with a station that you want to try to establish for sure. So. But yeah, we had a really great segment. I think we got 2 or 3 segments out of that one. And here's the other thing I wanted to touch on too. And so going back to the idea of like added value, or how do you maximize this investment that you have like on the traditional media side, and how can you take advantage of it in other areas to help promote your business or to help more so with your visibility. So one thing that there is value with is getting the backlink of where this video is going to be embedded. So for instance, locally we work with a TV station. They ended up putting it on one of their web pages. So with a link obviously back to our site. So we were able to have that. We were able to then take that post it on social, organic social, for, not necessarily like badge bait, but when a organization co-signs you like that, it's nice to show like your clientele, like, hey, we're aligned with a trustworthy source within our community. We're local, we understand, the market we're in. So I think there are some tertiary, I guess, benefits to doing something like that. From an SEO perspective, it can benefit, organic social, those sorts of things. So anytime you're doing something like that, really make sure you're trying to maximize every little piece of it that you can, and even potentially using that media for paid social to try to get it out, just to get you a little bit of extra reach. And nothing incredible, maybe picking out your top zips and doing a small boost on that post to kind of help get some reach and frequency on it. So,
and the stations have gotten better about blocking external ads, but you can typically, if you're on a WAI.com or some kind of station, you can create specific targeted ads to show up on their website, or at least create a target audience there. It used to be real easy to do it. Now they try to, that's a core part of what these stations sell is self-served ads, but there's always a tactic there.
Yeah, direct to site, certainly. And it's so funny because before, I would say like maybe 10, 15 years ago, like they couldn't give away their ads like on their site, because their the over-the-air station is like what dominated, and they weren't really viewed as like online kind of news sources. But that's changed like drastically over the years. So that was another thing. We got added value. We got a homepage takeover on their site. So for a whole day, it was nothing but right ads on that site, which was cool. But you're right, there is a backdoor in through targeting specific news sites is a potential, but also that's another thing to ask added value for. Try to get 1 million or 2 million impressions on their site, and try to get some run a site ads. So something definitely to look at too. So sweet. Yeah, so I think that those are the main points on the traditional.
I know you've got a big production coming up next week. You're going to Detroit.
So super excited for that. So we got an exterior remodeler that we're working with, and what makes this one's pretty fun is that we're also working with we're working with like a micro celebrity or a celebrity. I don't know how to specifically label it. So that's going to be cool. And that's a whole nother thing about getting a spokesperson for your brand, and somebody, who's already trusted in the community can help out a lot. So we'll be up in Detroit doing that, which is going to be a lot of fun. So we're doing some commercial spots for them, and then we have a really fun project where we're doing some brand story videos. We're kind of doing something that's like adjacent to this company to help highlight some of like the really cool local businesses there. So that's going to be fun. And then 2 weeks after that, we go out to Boston to visit one of their distributor showrooms to film some stuff there. So a lot of really good stuff cooking. And, you know, we have plans again for a full 360 campaign to, you know, top of funnel tactics, bottom of funnel tactics, just to really get all that out there. So that one's going to be a fun one. And once we get it all kind of wrapped up, we'll definitely share it on the pod. So cool. Awesome.
Nice.
Next up, AI. So we got Google's Gemini Ultra AI, which might not be so ultra. And then some of the stuff Google is launching for Search Live with video using Google Labs, looks like. Yeah, tell me about your experience with Gemini Ultra, because I know we just shelled out $220 for it, and maybe it wasn't worth it.
I mean, it's one of those things that I feel like we've got to test it, you know, as an agency, and we got to try to stay ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
And, you know, I got real frustrated with Google because they tried to upsell our, because we're on Google Workspace, and it's, well, let's just say $15 a month per user. Well, across like 37 users, they then immediately tried to bump us to $30 a month per user because, well, now we're using Gemini. Like, okay, but Gemini's trash. Why would you double our rate? So they pulled that back. They decided that wasn't the right route to go, and then I think they increased the cost like $2 a month per user, and then they pushed out Ultra, and that's what they're doing right now, is trying to get people on Ultra, and they're using the flashy thing of VO, the video creation tool.
Yeah.
You get higher throttles. You get to use that a little bit more with less limitations, and but the route they're going this time is it's about $200, maybe $220 a month. They give you like a discount for the first 3 months.
Okay.
But you can select the users in your organization, so
They get
you don't have to do everybody like we were going to have to do for Gemini.
But it's going to be $220 a user. Wow.
For a user, which, you know,
That's
GPT, their advanced plan is $200 a month per user as well. So they're really allowing GPT, from my perspective, to drive the narrative from a cost standpoint.
Gotcha.
But I just think their rollout and the way that they're fragmented, it's kind of how we talked about GLS and GBP, that they're completely different frameworks. And it feels like that's everything that Gemini has done, because VO at least is inside the video generator at 8-second clips. At least that's inside Gemini. But one of the things I was really excited about with Ultra and why I wanted to test it was their deep research in Project Mariner.
Yep.
So Project Mariner is supposed to be their agent that is more of a deep contextual reasoning thing. I've tried using it 3 times now, and it has failed each time.
What are you asking it to do?
I'm auditing a client's search engine optimization, so I'm basically just looking at their search visibility, uploading, and you can't upload documents to it, so you got to copy and paste from CSVs and stuff. But it's the same as like their Notebook LM is a different property, and I feel like they're just trying to connect this bundle that really isn't built the way it should be. And then just try to upcharge people because they probably have an earnings call at some point here soon.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's just I think it's poorly executed. I think the result is trash. I was trying to make fun of my wife and had her. We were at the stockyards in Fort Worth, and so she's on like a Longhorn, and I was trying to have it do a video of her like bucking on a Longhorn, jumping around. And it like timed out. Sorry, our quota is at capacity, whatever. I'm like, yeah, but I'm paying $200 a month. Let's go.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Anyway, that's.
Yeah. Have you tried GPT's agent mode yet? Didn't they roll that out like a week or 2 ago as well?
Yeah. It's. I really like it. I think GPT is way ahead of Gemini right now because it's all in the same ecosystem, and so the agent mode is very cool. It literally just takes control of your browser and has a window inside of your chat, and it will say, the Cloudflare pop-up notifications will say, okay, are you a human? And it'll wait and say, waiting for authorization, then it'll click the bubble. Like, it is full blown. What I was having it do was we had a client change their name recently, and I had it basically look for the old business name and put that into a sheet to where we can then push it over to the virtual assistants to get some information updated, right? But yeah, the agents is very, very cool. Throttling and limitations, like we're just on the $30 a month plan for the organization per user. So I think the limits are going to be pretty tight there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is cool. It's very neat.
Man, it just seems like it's not going to get cheaper, you know, and so it'll be interesting to see eventually where some things shake out, because I think GPT even has like a more expensive like version that you can use
than the 200. I know they've got an enterprise plan that has like privacy controls and things along those lines.
Nice. Yeah, very interesting. Cool. What's going on with some of the Google Labs stuff and launching Search Live? I don't know if I've heard about that.
Yeah, so this was at Google I/O, which I was not at, but this was shared by, I think, Katie talking about the Google Live. And basically, as much as I trash Gemini, and I do think it is trash right now, and this is probably why it's trash for me, is it has all the recordings of me talking poorly about it, and we're on Google Workspace. So
you know the robots are going to take down like the humans who never said thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
yeah,
so I always thank ChatGPT.
See, I want to be first, so I don't thank it. As I said, finally. But one of the things I do like about Gemini is if you use it on your mobile device, and you do the live chat, you can share your camera and troubleshoot.
That's right. Gotcha.
And so I was testing it yesterday on, I was in Google Tag Manager just seeing if things would fire off properly. And I just put it up next to me as I was doing it, and it was walking through, okay, I see you're here, I see you're there. Now it didn't get me to the finish, like I had to figure it out. It led me down the wrong path a few times, which I think is where the HI comes into play, which we'll mention a little bit later.
Yeah.
But it is a really cool tool, and being able to cascade your camera. So what Google Search Live is basically that, of you're able to have that and then show the camera, and then it will search and give you information about the product or what you're doing. And,
gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I haven't messed with that at all yet. So I'll definitely want to check that one out, because usually I'm just like screenshotting, uploading, and saying, hey, like what error is this, and how do I like solve it? So seems like that's going to help skip a whole step. And if it's watching you live, like, man, that's incredible. So
yeah. It is. It's pretty insane, and I mean, again, it's asking the right questions at the right time, giving the right context always matters. But I used it. Oddly enough, we got a bouncy castle for my daughter's 5-year-old birthday in the back of the yard, and one of the plugs, I think we got the reservation late. So let's just say that the company that came and dropped it off, it had duct tape all over it.
Oh,
it was
wow,
a crappy
you got the bottom of the barrel one?
Yeah. So the plug on the extension cord wasn't working, so my father-in-law and I swapped it out with a new plug because the ground wasn't connected, whatever.
That's
so
dangerous.
we stripped the cable, got a new plug on it.
Wow.
And he was struggling with something, so I was like, all right, I'm going to show you. So I had put Gemini Live up, and I was like, is he going to electrocute himself, or are we good? And it walked us through it and said, no, that's right, just connect it here. So
that's crazy. Yeah. See, I've done it with pictures before. I'm trying to remember. I was trying to disconnect so I switched to Simply Save from ADT, but ADT was still like being powered, and so I had to go to the box and like disconnect a bunch of stuff. So I literally took a photo of the box, uploaded it, and it was like, okay, unhook this, and like you're good, and it works. So crazy to think. And so, which kind of goes into our next point. It's like, as we see all these new opportunities with it, one of the backbone of them all is like the different models that these things are leveraging. So I'm most familiar with, obviously the GPT models, 4.0, 03, 03 Pro. I think Gemini even has some different models now as well. And so what's your take on, let's just start with, the GPT models.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess what should people know just from using different models at a high level?
Yeah, just know that GPT-5, one of the things that they are working on and releasing is advanced understanding in the model of trying to find out what do you really need. In the same way that like Google search of old, they have the intent type. So if we're an agency that uses SEMrush, it'll say if it's a consumer intent, somebody that's looking to buy, if it's an informational intent, if they're just looking for FAQ type stuff and trying to educate themselves. In the same way, ChatGPT is so big that they built different models for different tactics. So they have one for coding, they have one that's better with visual reading, and I think really that's the same as like visual analysis and coding is like, I don't even remember the number because I don't use it as much, but like 4.0 and 4.5 are kind of the basic ones, and the one that's the default for GPT of 4.0 right now, that's just like doing a Google search. You're gonna have to ask a really good question, or you're gonna have to go a couple pages deep and update your query to get what you're really looking for. 4.0 is just for quick responses. I rarely start my chat with ChatGPT with 4.0 unless it's just a driving in the car or I want to Google search something. I just use 4.0 instead.
Gotcha. Okay. So what is your favorite default?
So if we had the bigger plan, 03 Pro if you have the time.
All day.
So 03 Pro is the advanced reasoning, if you will, and that's the one that you may ask it a question. It may take 6 to 8 minutes to get back with you because it's doing deep research. Gemini has a deep research button that you can do. Rarely works for me, but hey, maybe your account, maybe you haven't talked as much trash about Google as I have. So, so what I'll typically do though is start with 03, which is a light version of 03 Pro, because I ran out of our 03 Pro credits pretty quick last month. But 03 is more contextual and advanced reasoning, and it goes and says, okay, they asked me this question, and it will show you the readout. Why did they ask me? What are they looking for? Should I ask these questions? It will even ask you some questions ahead of time and then go. Once I get done with 03, then I can switch it back to 4.0 because then you've got at least some contextual information in the chat and it's gone through that reasoning. So then if you just need quick answers, go back to 4.0. You're not wasting your credits on 03 anymore, and it's going to be faster. Those are the main ones that I use right now. And then 5, we'll see what happens with that one.
Interesting. Yeah, I typically use like 03 by default, it seems like. But yeah, I was using 03 Pro the other day. It was like the amount of time it was taking, I was like, wow, this is, interesting because I'm used to like, bam, speedy answers. But then you start seeing like the downsides of 04 and you're like, okay, that's why it's so fast because, sometimes it's not accurate. And 04, I don't know what it is, but over the past couple weeks, it's been like, for me at least, hallucinating more and giving me like the incorrect information. Like I had it examine like a spreadsheet and it came back and it was like clearly the wrong thing. And I was like, double check your work and look at it again. And it was basically, oh, I'm sorry, like you're right. Here's the other data. And so immediately I was like, man, I don't know if I can trust some of the other information I got. So super important to be looking at that, which brings us to kind of the big reveal, I think, of the show today is this new term HI. And if you guys haven't heard of it, it's called human intelligence.
Yeah, there's not a lot of it out there.
There's not. It
but it's necessary.
I think we're at a low for it right now. So, but in all seriousness, one conversation that we've been having, is how do we use AI responsibly? How do we make sure that we're integrating our team, with using it? And we've obviously come to the conclusion that there's no way for us to, at least right now where we're at, to live in a world where we can trust AI all on its own. And it's important to still have that HI part, the human intelligence, right? Actually, somebody looking at it and making sure that the data is correct. Because I will be honest, we have produced some content with AI for our clients, and it's hallucinated, and we've published it. Not proud of it, but that's what happens when you move fast. You fail faster and you kind of learn from it. So blessing in disguise that we kind of understand that and we can put more guardrails around our prompts, but also just like a reminder, like, hey, from a human level, we got to have more attention to detail, because I think at least for me, something that's top of mind is just us not getting lazy as, a team to solely rely on that and making sure that we are double checking that stuff. So human intelligence, it might sound, I don't know what the word is, like a no-brainer. But think about like without human intelligence, like AI would have never been born. So I think it's that whole like full circle thing. It's like we got to have some level of it.
Yeah, I think it's super important, and one from just a culture standpoint. Like we're asking here at Leadhub team members that may be resistant to change. That hey, we know what works. We've been doing it for a long time. Why would I change? What's the reason? Well, our clients are asking us to work faster. Our clients are asking us to put more content out. But what's the risk? The risk is putting a service area page out there that has a high school mention that's not existent.
Yeah.
And there's some things in there that we can do. Like this was my initial thing when I heard about that scenario was, well, we should be using 03 on the front end and then 4.0. Like, why not? Like using 4.0, it's gonna hallucinate unless we give it more context. But I think any automation and any kind of AI tool moving forward, we talk about we want the human intelligence to drive the initial query, but then human intelligence to safeguard it. So we're also putting in the middle, though, the human intelligence of the processes we've created over the last 13, 14 years, and that sweat that the team has put in. Like if we're asking an SEO expert to create an automation or some kind of tool that has a prompt, okay, well the human intelligence is going into the prompt, but we also need it to go on the front end and to just double check for accuracy on the back end.
Yeah.
So there's a lot going on there.
For sure. Yeah, somebody like me with like my personality, it's like, man, there's just like mundane tasks that I just wish did not exist on this planet anymore. And my hope is that we can like replace those so our team members are able to like focus on things that drive even more impact and that they're more passionate about. And that's like what I want our team to understand more than anything. It's like, man, like imagine the opportunity for this thing to like free up, 50% of your time to now work on more things that you love and that are gonna have even like greater impact. 'Cause that's my goal. Like I'm just like thirsty to have like more capacity to do like productions or work with people one-on-one, as opposed to just like replying to so many like emails or things like that, because there's agents now that will create drafts for your emails. You can go look at the draft real quick and boom, just send it off. So that's what I'm most excited about, I think, as we move into agentic AI.
Yeah, there's so many things in there that I like. They're all going to be different rabbit trails, but like I was talking again with my wife, who's in corporate giving and charitable giving here at Whataburger, and she had a vendor, a nonprofit, kind of asking for funds, and there was a misspelling, a couple of them that were egregious, and my wife was like, I get so many GPT written emails that it was actually endearing to see that she wrote it herself, because clearly that was her. So human intelligence, you could see that's a great way to show that you're putting effort in.
Dude, that makes me wonder if this will birth like a whole new kind of term. Like, remember when I talked to you about like, it was kind of like comment hacking, where like somebody would be on a video and they would like purposely say something wrong, or like they purposely misspell something in their title just to bait people into that. I think there's gonna be some term eventually that's born where people are like purposely like misspelling stuff to try to like stand out and really show as like human.
Yeah. I mean, I got blitzed, and it hurt me a little bit by one comment on Reddit where I was just responding, but I was driving and I saw a Reddit thread. And so I did a voice memo, had GPT transcribe it in a comment format. I even used my Not Another Marketing Bro custom GPT, so I didn't sound like a marketing bro. And some dude said, I love reading GPT questions answered by GPT answers. I was like, no. Like I had a voice memo with my unique answer. But anyway, that's something that I do think you're gonna see the formula, and we're gonna pick it up and we're gonna adapt. And
Yeah.
I think that's the cool part of it is AI is going to be a tool, but if I can stay on the soapbox a little bit more, the other thing that's an issue, I think, for anybody using AI regularly is losing the human intelligence and spending time, wasting time going through this chat with your AI assistant and then realizing, well, crap, it's something I would have checked if I would have followed my old process. And I'm saying that just from my own experience of, I was doing an audit the other day from an organic standpoint, and I pulled up O3. I'm like, let's talk about it. You tell me where to go. And if I would have just started at the beginning where I would have a year ago, I probably would have caught it a lot earlier. And it was just like a tagging issue. And so I think what I want to encourage is like, don't rely on it for the critical thinking. Use it as an assistant still.
Yeah, for sure. Especially if you have experience, like rest on that and, try to leverage that with the AI. So I've been really enjoying like conversations with with my AI ChatGPT bot lately, which has been kind of spooky in a way, because I'll be like driving home and I don't know, it was maybe like about a month ago, the voice changed and they had some sort of update to where they're actually saying and ah, and it feels insanely conversational. So, but I had it pump me up the other day because we just had all of our like quarterlies, and I was like, give me like some motivation to pump me up for like this quarterly. And dude, did it get me like in the right mind frame? Heck yeah. It like reminded me of a bunch of things, and I said, okay, like let's go do this. So I really been enjoying it, just like bouncing ideas and maybe not necessarily like stuff so technical, but I just love to tell it to be like, hey, be like, a top tier C-level or C-suite coach. Here's my problem. Like, what do you think? Type of stuff. So
yeah, and you can build some of that stuff. Like if you know your own, we do culture index and we've done DISC. If you know your own personal wiring, you can bake into your personal instruction set. Like for me, I ask it to give me both sides of the coin. Like let's say, tell me why this is a good idea. Tell me why it's not. And I have that for certain chats, but I think it's important to understand our own. Like if you're overly detailed, ask it to pull you back and look at it from a big picture and kind of do the opposite, because we're still uniquely wired to feed it where we are coming from and put our bias in there.
Yeah. Speaking of that, I have been seeing more people specifically telling it like, don't tell me what I want to hear kind of stuff. And like, I want to hear both sides of the coin. Because I think that's the other thing with AI is that it's kind of people pleaser in a sense that like it wants to tell you like what you think you want to hear. So very interesting.
I do want to like one more mundane task that I'm very conflicted about, and I just need maybe therapy or feedback on. Like, am I a terrible dad is really the question, because we switch off story time and it's either we read at night, and she just turned 5. We read at night, she picks a book or whatever, and it used to be that she loved having me tell her stories. Now she only wants GPT to tell her stories.
Oh, wow.
So she only wants to hear stories about Mario and Princess Peach, and she wants the guy's AI voice to read it. She doesn't like any of the female voices.
Okay.
And she doesn't want to hear my authentic, organic stories anymore.
Wow. What you could try to do maybe is like clone yourself in 11 labs and see if you can make that happen. That might make you feel a little better. But man, so that's cool though. So you got a male voice, and then is it just now unlimited stories about Mario and Princess Peach, like love stories? Or
what? So what I'll typically do, because I think what really happened is I screwed up. I used to only tell her stories that all ended in a Mario Kart race, and she got tired of Mario Kart races. But yeah, I've got one thread that I keep up. I use O3, so it takes a little longer. So while she's brushing her teeth, I'll say, okay, tonight I want a story about, this was last night's story, Mario and Princess Peach get turned into Pikachu and Bulbasaur. And they had a crossover event.
Whoa.
And it was really cool.
What happened?
I'm gonna tell you, I fell asleep in the middle of the story, but she turned over and was like, that was a great story. So I couldn't tell you the ending.
Great job, ChatGPT.
Yeah.
So do you have a custom GPT for this now? Or
No, I just have one thread, but I probably should create one.
Wow, that is incredible. So, love it. Awesome, man. Well, anything else top of mind for you or that we should share with the people? I think we covered.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any people in the field that really would ever listen to the podcast. I know mostly we're talking to the marketing side, but like if you've got windshield time and you're a sales guy, like use it to pump you up before you go into the home.
Heck yeah, dude, for sure. I think it's a good kind of coach and just sounding board a lot of times. So very good. All right, well, that is episode maybe 13, maybe 14, or maybe not either of those. Who knows? Yeah. But thanks for tuning in to another episode of Talk of the Trades. Hope you guys found some value. And like, subscribe, drop us a comment.
Yeah, give us ideas for stories.
Yeah. Mario and Princess Peach love stories. Drop your best one in the comments. So thanks for watching, y'all.